And now, coming to you live from Huntsville Attic, it's Rockin with Rockin Robbie. And here's your host, Rockin Robbie.
Hey everybody! Welcome to Rockin with Rockin Robbie. That is right, I am Rockin Robbie here in Huntsville Attic on SOEProductions.com. Thank you for joining us here in Huntsville Attic, like I said, on another special occasion. Of course, we're going to be tonight talking about Quark, Quarks, and Corks. I'll let you figure that out for a moment. Let me introduce our guests here tonight. As always, with me, Jumpin and Jivin James! Yeah! How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today, man.
Awesome. Right next to him, my good friend, Maniacal Mike. Whoa!
Yes!
What's up, Mike?
Heyo!
Thanks for coming back again.
Always a pleasure, Robbie. Always a pleasure.
And a first time in Huntsville Attic. Woohoo. First time in Huntsville Attic. Always read what you sign. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Justify Justin!
He's totally cool to do everything. He's justified.
Absolutely. How you doing, Justified Justin?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for being here. I heard you had trouble finding the Huntsville Attic, but that's because you should never trust GPS in a mysterious location.
All I can say,
We do live on the other side.
Yeah, southwest, southeast, it's all the same.
all I can say is that one of our other favorite guests, Jalangsta Gangsta, is going to be mad that he missed out tonight.
Absolutely. This is an alcohol explosion, everybody. As I said, it's Quark, Quarks, and Corks. Let's explain that. Quark refers to Quark, our favorite bartender from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And in the spirit of Star Trek, our shot tonight, as is our custom here in Huntsville Attic on Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie, is Romulan Ale, a potent brew that James and I have made.
It's blue.
It's blue. Check out the pictures. Good show, everybody. Holla, 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 holla.
Blink, blink.
Oh, shit.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, that is delicious.
It's good, man. I don't talking about.
This shit's flammable, dude.
Quark, Deep Space Nine. Justify Justin, you are here because you are our resident Star Trek Deep Space Nine expert. Tell me a little bit about the show, what sets it apart from other Star Trek shows, and why you love it.
Well, Deep Space Nine is really, I think it's the most human of all of the series.
All right.
It's the only one that starts in a set location, and of course they go out, they get to Defiant, they go out to other places, the other side of the galaxy, actually.
Indeed.
But, I mean, there's more character interaction in this show than any of the other series.
Absolutely.
And that's the best thing about it. I
and
love that so much.
A little bit more adult
Yeah.
in theme, but especially in storytelling. Would you agree, Jumpin?
Oh, yes, most definitely. And one of my favorite things about that show, in addition, is the fact that the station's always breaking down.
Absolutely.
And O'Brien is just somehow making it work. He's just like, he comes into a room with a wrench and bangs on some stuff a little bit. It's like, it's going to work for a couple more weeks. I'll be back.
That's right. Chief O'Brien reprising the role from Next Generation, where he was the teleporter chief. Now he basically fixes everything. It's a space station that was built by the Cardassians, and they were dominating this race of Bajor, the Bajorans.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it always like the Kardashians to dominate something?
Not quite those Cardassians, not the big-ass ones, man. But
That'd be a much better
the
show.
The spoon on the forehead ones. They wind up having to leave. Federation comes in to occupy the space station, and that's basically what it's about. It's about the Federation, us, coming in and occupying this space station that's now with the Bajorans, and how they deal.
They're not occupying.
No, that's right. They're
working together. It's a coalition.
With the provisional government, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Correct.
Well, in Deep Space Nine, there is a character named Quark, who we all come to know and love. Quark, of course, is a Ferengi. He's played by Armin Shimmerman. who's gone on to do lots of things, lots of fun things. And-
he's a great actor. I mean, he does lots of like bit parts and other things and a lot of different things. A lot of
been in
sci-fi
Castle.
pieces.
He
Oh,
really
an episode
does,
of
man.
Castle.
The character, of course, is a Ferengi. And we all know that the Ferengis are very
Giant ears.
Yeah, giant ears, butt heads, and very shrewd businessmen. They have the
And
Ferengi rules
gnarly
of
teeth.
acquisition.
Oh yes.
They're all about getting profit, making profit, doing all that kinds of stuff.
They're like goblins.
yeah, yeah, like in what, like Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
downside though is they
Kinda.
have a very, very bad, sexist lifestyle.
very
though.
sexist, actually.
You know, they're not allowed to wear clothes. Apparently, women.
Nor
know
allowed
they,
to make a profit.
Do you know
Yeah.
where that word Ferengi came from?
Where?
Well, it's derived from a Middle Eastern word. I think it was the Arabic name for European traders.
Really?
Fereng.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that
True
makes
story.
sense because
Wow,
they're
yeah.
they're crazy
They're,
traders. They're
yeah.
always against their word. I don't know if that has anything to do with Arabic traders. I'm not making any kind of statement.
Well, no,
about
that was
that.
talking about that. Yeah.
But yeah, that's really neat.
Well,
I
it's
did not
like
know
the
that.
reason they did that is because the Ferengi are their race was created like as kind of a parody of Western culture today.
Mm-hmm.
Not European necessarily, but Western in general. So they're basically Americans,
Yeah,
and so
consumers.
yeah,
Yeah.
assholes,
and capitalists,
just businessmen.
Yeah, businessmen will screw you over for their deal. In fact, one of the reasons why, if you really think about it, one of the reasons why Quark never really got busted for too much stuff on DS9 is because, according to the rules of his race, he never broke the law.
Indeed.
He
correct.
always followed the Ferengi rules of
And hey,
acquisition.
Hey,
Yes,
before he
Maniacal Mike.
well, I was gonna say we all know he's a bartender,
Absolutely.
but before
yeah.
he opened his bar, Cork was also a chef on a Ferengi freighter for about 8 years.
Huh.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that'd
that's
make me
cool.
want to own a
Yeah.
bar too.
Yeah.
Tired
So
of
he's got a little bit of food and beverage thing going
Oh,
already.
yeah.
Oh,
And he's
okay.
moving on up, own his own place. That's nice. That's nice. He came to DS9 when it was still under Cardassian rule. He actually, when he was there, in his backstory, he seemed to favor the downtrodden Bajorans. In fact, he was even selling them food and equipment slightly
Slightly
above
above
cost. That, of course, could have got him in a lot of trouble with the Cardassian government. Now, when the Bajorans won their freedom, Cardassians left, and now the Federation is there to take care of them. Of course, they bring in Benjamin Sisko, O'Brien, Josiah Dax, Bashir, all those favorites of ours. If you know what we're talking about, you know. If you don't, this might be a boring 10 minutes. But when the Federation arrives, Quark actually tried to leave, if you remember the pilot.
Oh yes, and I think they somehow had Nog in custody for something.
That's indeed, yes,
him
for
and,
some
they
kind of
They used him
useful...
as
Yeah, they were stealing some stuff.
leverage.
Uh-huh. And yeah, basically he was exhorted to stay there by Sisko.
Yes, so that people would think that the promenade was still alive and jumping place.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sisko recognized the importance that Quark's bar would have there for tourism and commerce. And then, of course,
Plus, that's where the holodecks were.
and nobody wanted to stay there. The pleasure decks. Nobody wanted to be there until they found the wormhole. They found a wormhole to the Gamma Quadrant, the other side of the galaxy.
Complete opposite.
Completely unknown. Even further unknown than the Delta Quadrant, which
And-
Voyager fans and fans of the Borg know and love, right?
Yeah.
No, on Starfleet.
But man, that is a lot of opening up a lot of trade there. That's like Ferengi paradise.
Absolutely. In
And
fact,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
non-Star
I
Trek
was gonna say-
fans, take a drink now.
All right. I was going to say that also opened up the gateway to my personal favorite portion of the Star Trek canon, which is the Dominion Wars.
The Dominion. Now,
Oh,
Quark
Dominion
was one of the
Wars.
first people to make contact with somebody from the Dominion.
Correct.
It was very important. In fact, at the very beginning, Quark helped broker deals with several races from the Gamma Quadrant for his race and for Sisko and the Federation.
Is that where they found Babylon 5?
All right, moving on. So,
Okay.
like,
But seriously, Mike, don't ever make statements like that.
but yeah, he was one
True
of the
fans
first
might
people
hurt you.
to make contact with the Dominion War. By the end of DS9's run, he had become a very important character to that series, a very pivotal role, a very
Yes.
important character to... What's that?
Yes, he is a very important character. So important that he was on the pilot of Star Trek Voyager. And I do believe the episode was called Caretaker.
Yeah,
Wow,
that's right. Yeah.
You're
Wow.
totally correct.
I didn't know you watched Star Trek. That's nice. You're right.
He's got the little info.
Resources.
All right. One of my favorite things about Quark.
Quick question.
Whoa. All right.
Is DS9 the one with the hot Borg chick?
No, that's
That is
Voyager.
Voyager.
Remember, you mentioned Voyager's pilot. a few
Yeah,
minutes
but I
ago.
don't necessarily means I watched Voyager's pilot.
I'm actually rewatching Voyager right now. It's better than I remembered it.
I watched that last year. It's great.
Yeah.
You know, I met Robert Picardo, the guy that plays the Doctor.
I love the Doctor.
Oh,
and he's a
Picardo's
great actor.
awesome.
He's in all the Joe Dante films and stuff. He's in The
All the- yeah.
Howling. Yeah, dude.
Gremlins 2.
Gremlins too, dude. He's the fucking like the dude's dude.
Yeah.
His right hand dude, man. I love. He winds up in the bathroom with the
Got a
girl.
signed
gremlin.
picture with him.
All right. Well, moving on.
Well,
so,
I've got one quick fact about our friend Quark.
all right, Maniacal Mike.
His the guy that played him,
Armin
Amar
Shimmerman.
Sherman.
Yeah.
Yes, he also played the principal in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes, indeed.
How I know this, I don't know because I don't watch Buffy the
He
Vampire
played
Slayer.
Principal Snyder. In fact, he's a really good actor, as we said earlier. He's in lots of shit.
Also, there was an episode, I want to say it was called Treachery, Faith, and the Great River. Don't ask me how I remember the name. But it was one where Quark and Odo were in a shuttlecraft going somewhere, and they got stranded on some planet, and nothing worked. So they had to kind of hike up the mountain, and it was a really beautiful episode for their characters. You know,
Yeah,
they really,
absolutely.
that was a huge turning point for them. I think they really gained respect for each other after that.
Major arc in their relationship and in their characters individually. If you guys have never seen Star Trek Deep Space Nine, take it from us. Watch it. The character of Quark, the relationship with Odo, Cisco, O'Brien. It's a great show. It really is. You really need to check
Just
it out.
remember, 3 of the 4 have watched it. So
Absolutely. And we are drinking some champagne right now. And
champagne.
so here's a toast to Quark, to Armin Shimmerman.
To Armin
Everybody,
Shimmerman.
Armin Shimmerman! We're drinking a lot tonight in Huntsville Attic. Thank you, Armin Shimmerman, for your portrayal of Quark and Principal Snyder and other, including Stan the Caddy and Seinfeld. Yes, we remember that one as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the question of the day!
Things are going to be discovered now.
Today's question of the day, we've been talking about Quark. If you were in Quark's bar, what Star Trek-centric beverage would you order? We will be right back after this break. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll be right back on Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie here in Huntsville Attic with Quark, Quarks, and Corks. This break is brought to you by Corn Bits. He's got the Corn Bits.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
Getting the corn bits.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
He got the corn bits, yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
We're getting the corn bits.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
Who couldn't use more corn in their diet? Try our crisp and refreshing cereal, Corn Bits. They taste delicious and they're fun to play with.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie. Tonight we are talking about Quark, Quarks, and Corks. And with me, as always, is Jumpin and Jivin James.
Hello.
Maniacal Mike.
What up, bitches?
And Justified Justin.
Good evening, Robbie.
Hey, good evening to you. Thank you, everybody, for coming back to the Huntsville Attic and joining us on SOEProductions.com. Rockin' Robbie. All right, we talked about Quark. Now it's time to talk about Quarks. But before that, as is our custom here on Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie, it's time for our next shot. Of course, this is Romulan Ale. It's a potent combination. It involves 151 and Everclear. and some blue stuff. It's very blue. Look at the
Blue
pictures. It's
and
very blue.
Carousel.
It definitely almost messed up things between the Klingons and the Federation.
Yeah.
It really did.
It's also illegal.
A
in
toast to
parts
Captain
in the
Archer,
Federation.
everybody. Scott Bakula. Woo. Oh, it's getting warm. Interesting note. Scott Bakula played Captain Archer on Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise. He indeed
Ziggy.
became the first human in the Star Trek mythology to drink Klingon blood wine.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
And Andor.
Let's
While
get back
waiting
to our
on
question
trial.
of the day. Our question of the day. If you were in Quarks bar, what Star Trek-centric drink would you order? Maniacal Mike.
Well, you kind of took my thunder by mentioning that, but I will
Absolutely.
just go ahead and say Klingon blood wine
What
because the mere-
is, to those uneducated, Klingon blood wine?
Man, it's Klingon blood fermented with sugar. I think I'm the only one that'd be able to drink it. One, because of the taste, and two,
Wait.
There's an opposing view.
He's the one who just couldn't handle the Romulan ale.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't even.
If you couldn't handle Romulan ale, how can
Did
you
you hear
handle
me
Klingon
coughing
blood
on the
wine?
mic? Did you hear me complaining?
That's because you
No.
turned away.
I did not cough at all.
There's another explanation. James, you read something also online about Klingon blood wine.
I heard that it's actually made from the blood root. So it's not actually blood. So it
Now, I indeed did read also that it is made from fermented Klingon blood, fermented by sugar. But whatever.
I always thought it was Targ blood, what they hunted.
Yeah?
I read that too. There's a couple different. No
It's
one
a
really
couple.
knows for
All
sure.
we really know is that it's really fucked up and it will fuck you up. And as I said, Captain
It's
Archer
like
was
supposed
the
to be
very first
like
one.
more like drinking really heavy scotch or something.
Yeah.
Not really wine at
Take
all.
this shit that we're drinking now and multiply it by like 5.
Make it
1,000
dark
or
red
something like
and-
sangria times 1,000,000, right? That's
Say
what,
like-
basically what it is.
Say like 430 proof or so.
Justify, Justin. What would be your answer, sir?
Well, I was gonna say Rock de Gino, the Klingon coffee, that Cisco always ordered.
Ah, indeed,
But I figured it was
yes.
a bar, so I get alcohol. So I would say a Warp Core breach.
Ah, what is in a warp core breach, sir?
Many things. There was not really a recipe for it. I haven't looked one up anyway.
But it smokes and shit.
Yeah, it looks like it has dry ice in it. It's pretty cool. It's in a big like a fishbowl style.
That's pretty
glass.
dope. Fishbowl drinks are always good.
Quark actually made one of those for Dr. Bashir one time after he had a rough day. He said it would keep him relaxed for the next 3 days.
I definitely want to try that.
Yes.
Wow,
Jumpin and
yeah.
Jivin James, what you got?
I'm going to go with the Andorian brandy because
Dorian.
it's brandy, but it's also from the planet of ice. So I mean, if they're going to drink something to warm them up, it's going to be pretty awesome.
Absolutely right.
And also, Andorian is one of my favorites because one of my favorite actors of the genre, Jeffrey Combs, plays
Yeah.
one.
Yes.
he does
And-
indeed.
And his portrayal of the Andorian is awesome. He's
Was
a total
that on
badass.
Enterprise?
Enterprise.
Yes, all right.
And he had a little moving antenna and
Yeah,
everything.
the antenna, the blue ones with the white hair. Everybody,
Oh,
for
yeah.
those initiated. But we are
Oh,
initiated, aren't
aren't
we?
we?
Bruce.
That sounded like your band impression.
It'll
Of
never go away.
course. All right, everybody.
Never.
That brings us to my answer. My answer was going to be Romulan ale because I've always, being a Star Trek fan, you always hear about Romulan ale. Having tonight tried Romulan ale, though, I might just go with tea Earl Grey hot. All right? I don't know. Moving on. Quarks. Quark. We talked about Quark. Now we talk about Quarks. Quarks. Wait, are we going to talk about a lot of bartenders on DS9?
Or is it just his ownership of something?
No, indeed, we are talking about the subatomic elementary particle that is, in fact, a fundamental constituent of matter! Yes! Quarks are so
They
important.
make up hadrons, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, James. Thank you. Hadrons, everybody. Everybody's heard of the Hadron Collider?
Yes.
Well, that means they collide hadrons. What's a hadron?
I think it's like another small particle.
It's a composite
particle.
particle made of other small particles. All right, let's
so
talk
it'd
about
be
this.
like what a proton or a
Like a proton or a neutron.
Neutron?
Those are
Oh.
examples of hadrons.
Wow.
Correct.
Absolutely. What is a quark? For those uninitiated, quarks, of course, combine, as we said, into composite particles. These are called hadrons, known as
Composite?
protons and neutrons, for instance. Those are some of them. These, of course, make up atomic nuclei, right? That makes up atoms, with the electrons. Atoms, of course, combine to make molecules. Molecules combine to make fucking chemicals. Chemicals combine to make us and everything around us, right? So quarks are incredibly, incredibly important. In fact, when we say elementary, in fact means basic. But maybe they're not basic. We'll get to that in a future episode. I don't want to blow your mind too much. Let's talk a little bit about the history of quarks when they were discovered. First of all, they were proposed independently by physicists Murray Gell-Mann and George Zweig.
That was 1964, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed, that was 1964. And at the time, scientists were discovering a plethora of particles, virtually a zoo. It is known as the particle zoo, which eventually got toned down into the standard model. Now, if you know your standard model of particle physics, you know that basically quarks are the union. If it was the American flag, they are the union. They're where the blue would be. They're in the top left-hand corner. Very important.
So they know how to do the Jersey slide.
Of course they do.
Okay. That's when you take that's when you're in your car and you go from one lane to the opposite, far opposite lane.
But in the 60s, Gell-Mann and Zweig were, in fact, the first to propose that these hadrons were not elementary in and of themselves, but composed of quarks, smaller bits of matter. So, whereas we used to think the atom was the smallest bit, we found out it wasn't. And then we thought protons were, and neutrons and shit. And then we found out, in fact, they were not. There's even smaller shit. And only some of them are quarks. There's other ones that are there too. Quarks are not the only ones, but there are quarks. There are 6 types of quarks, in fact.
Did you know that different types of quarks are known as flavors?
Yeah,
Flavors.
yeah, the flavors, like vanilla, chocolate, like ice cream, strawberry, right? But not those. In fact, there's
Road.
up, down, strange, charm, bottom, and top.
So you need like Neapolitan to actually get something though.
Yeah, Neapolitan ice cream.
That's called a proton.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Are we talking about astronaut ice cream?
So in 1964, they were first proposed, of course, by Gell-Mann and Zweig, as we said. In 1968, deep inelastic scattering experiments at the Stanford Linear Accelerator Center, known as SLAG.
slag.
Indeed, they showed that protons were indeed made up of smaller point-like particles, and then others were soon discovered. There were 6 types, as we said. All right, another property of the quark is, of course, it's...
I want to say something real quick.
Yes.
Because the mere fact that I think our people and listeners are kind of confused. Because I'm sitting here going, why the fuck did you call it quark?
Yeah, why did they call it quarks?
Well, Gell-Mann determined that the spelling of the word quark, when he found the world in James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake.
Ah, interesting.
So that's where the name comes from.
That.
Yeah, so the word was used, and that's how we determined the spelling.
Yes.
Very
James
interesting.
Joyce,
Apparently
creator of the word
Zweig
quark.
wanted to call it something differently. I don't remember what that was right now, but it was.
Of course, you never remember what the other thing was because the other person won because it was better.
Well, do you remember Hipster Jumpin and Jivin James?
No, I'm saying that's why. We don't.
All
It's
right,
just
then.
fuck it,
I
dude.
guess nobody
Whatever.
knows.
I
Not
think
as
they
good.
originally wanted to call it a merkin.
I think it was
can see that was a
George,
bad
actually.
idea.
I think they could have called it a George.
All right, well, that obviously brings us to its spin. Now, another property, of course, of quarks is its spin. Now, what is spin? Spin is an intrinsic property of an elementary particle. All elementary particles have spin. Spin is basically a particle's degree of freedom. That's really what it is. The best way to view it, the best way to visualize it is, of course, its spin on an axis. It's visualized as rotation. Now, of course, this thought is misleading because, like I said, quarks are point-like, right? So they can't really spin if they're point-like, almost two-dimensional, if it seems. Classified, basically, quarks are with a negative 1/2 spin, for those of you who are very inclined with that. Now, another value, another property of quarks is its color charge. Color charge.
You do like them colors.
All right, I do indeed. In fact, through interaction with the strong force, a process called quantum chromodynamics happens. Now, basically, there are 3 colors of quarks. There are blue, red, and green.
We'll come back to these.
And anti-quarks are anti-blue, anti-red,
That's
anti-green.
very interesting.
Can I get the
They make up
flavored?
the color light spectrum.
Yeah, basically. There you go.
We'll come back to the Neapolitan
It's very
thing.
weird. Yeah, absolutely.
Neapolitan
Neapolitan,
can
though.
explain everything in life.
Neapolitan ice cream, though, if it is blue, red, and green, don't eat it, please.
No.
Colors are basically
Black and
attracted,
yellow never killed
and
the
they're
fellow.
bound. It's weird. It causes composite particles. It's very hard to understand, but basically, like there is electric charge through interaction with the electromagnetic force, there is color charge through interaction with the strong nuclear force. Quarks basically absorb gluons, which are the messenger particle for the strong nuclear force. They absorb and emit gluons at a very fast rate, and therefore they change colors. Basically, if an anti-green gluon is absorbed by a red quark, that quark will become green.
Fascinating.
It's really weird, but it happens so fast that this basically it preserves the strong interaction. It increases that force, and it stretches so much like a rubber band until eventually new quarks are created, a new anti-quark and a new quark. And these quarks that are spontaneously created are then bonded with the original quarks, and they make composite particles, which we know as hadrons, which make up atoms, which make up molecules, which make up us, motherfuckers. Right? That's why it's color charge, right? Is the reason why we all exist. One of the reasons.
Speaking of color charge,
Yeah.
So wait, are we all inside a TV?
Whoa.
we are almost all out of Romulan
No,
ale
we
right
are
now.
out of Romulan.
Yeah,
My shot and your shot's the
We
last
keep hitting
one.
it up.
Last
It's,
2 shots of Romulan
take it,
ale. Me
yeah.
and Mike right now.
Oh,
Let's
it's not
holler
the
at
last,
it.
dude.
Yes.
It's not the last.
It's not the last guy.
No, I got
Excellent.
more.
Last in that decanter.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
I just got to decant some more.
It's so
Oh
hard
my
to get
God.
back to
Dude.
this stuff since they outlawed it in the Federation, right?
Color charge is a very
Hey,
hard
Robbie,
concept.
can you please shut the fuck up for like 2 seconds? I've got
Sure.
an important fact.
All right, about color charge?
Well, under the significant extreme conditions of quarks may become deconfined and exist as free particles. In the course of the subatomic, I can't really remember what I wrote down. I'm a little drunk and blurry.
Acytomic?
Acytomically freedom.
Acytopic.
Yes, that is the
Acytopic,
word I'm
that's
looking
correct.
for.
Topic freedom.
The strong interaction becomes
Used to have that
weaker
album.
at higher temperatures. So the hotter they get, the weaker they get. Eventually, color confinement would be lost. An extremely hot plasma would freeze moving quarks, and gluons would be formed. That's right, bitch.
Are
Plasma.
you telling me that under sufficiently extreme conditions, quarks may become deconfined and exist as free particles? In the course of asymptotic freedom, the strong interaction will become weaker at higher temperatures, and eventually that color confinement would be lost, and an extremely hot plasma of freely moving quarks and gluons would be formed?
Yes.
That is
wild.
crazy. I did not
So it's like
know
a
that.
super crazy lava quark explosion.
It's like that
Yeah.
shit in fucking Ghostbusters 2.
Yes.
They made the toaster dance.
Man, I wish I had more input on this.
Your love
Like I said,
lifting me higher.
I usually look into like relativity and stuff like that. The theory of big, particle physics,
yeah, dude,
quantum,
it's
the
hard
theory
to
of
put the
small.
two together.
the
They don't mix.
unification hasn't quite been met yet.
Yeah,
but
unification
it
theory.
may have been, but that's for a later episode.
Yes. You know what's always interested me about particle physics is that it's so small we can't really see it, so we can only,
We can really only observe the hadrons.
Yeah, I mean we observe the
Yeah.
behavior of the bigger things.
Yes.
and just infer from that.
Absolutely.
because
It's
it
crazy.
is actually the color thing that you were talking about, how
Yeah.
they change in between the different colors, which makes
What
them
you just said.
imperceivable by us because they don't stay at one color long enough for us to look at them.
That is
I
true.
also blend the champagne.
One of the most important things about quarks, though, I want everybody to take this home. The only elementary particle that interacts with all four
It's Watson.
fundamental forces of nature:
Like weak, strong.
weak, strong, electromagnetic, and gravity.
Oh wow!
It
does
interacts
the-
with all of them.
Gonna defy gravity?
Can
It can because yes.
Let's say yes.
I'm
go.
drunk. I don't know.
Yes, it can.
This shit's all over my head.
All right, of course. Everybody, that was a very intellectual conversation about
It was.
quarks. I really appreciate it. And that, of course, brings us to the thought of the day!
How much alcohol can Mike drink before he gets
Today's
drunk?
thought of the day is
That's the
actually
thought
brought
of the
to
day.
us by Quark, the Deep Space Nine character.
I thought
And
you
here
were
it
talking
is.
about the TV show.
We will leave you with this. It took me my whole life, but I'm gonna die a winner. That quote comes from Quark from Deep Space Nine. Enjoy the break, everybody. This is the Gentlemen Bastards, a local band here with Motorcycle Song. Enjoy. We'll be right back. Welcome back.
Y'all be quiet or y'all fucking woke me up and shit, yo.
Welcome back to Rockin' with Rockin Robbie, everybody. I am, of course, Rockin Robbie, drinking some red wine, some red Vulcan, is it not? Justified, Justin.
Yes, it is Vulcan Red by Morgan Creek Vineyards.
Very
Let's have a
nice,
toast,
very
Robbie.
appropriate. Oh, very nice, very nice. Thank you for coming back with us
If I'm
tonight.
not mistaken, that's the Alabama table wine.
Ooh.
It is indeed.
Tonight, of course, is our Quarks, and Corks episode, everybody. And with me, as always, is Jumpin and Jivin James.
Yes.
Justified Justin.
I'm glad to be here, Robbie. I'm having a lot of fun.
And Maniacal Mike.
No. What? Yeah,
All right, Maniacal Mike is the unprofessional one tonight, everybody, just so you know. And as is
When
our...
am I not professional?
Wait. Let's get down to traditions here, sir.
And
Yeah,
is
come on.
our custom and tradition.
I really don't want to, but fuck it.
Here on Rockin' with Rockin Robbie and Huntsville Attic, it's time to do our
YOLO,
shot
motherfuckers,
for the
YOLO.
third segment.
Yes.
It's our Romulan Ale. Holler,
Ale.
everybody. This is to whatever you want your life to be. Yeah! Woo!
A lot better cold.
This is definitely going to be a mainstay at my house from now
Is it
on.
now Romulan Ale?
Yes.
Nice.
Moving
Quark.
on.
We talked about Quark. We talked about Quarks. That
Your
was
face
very
is moving
enlightening conversation about Quarks. Thank you for your
Fascinating.
input, Maniacal Mike.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Now it's time for Quarks. What are Quarks? Jump into Jivin James.
Well, a cork is the spongy material off of a cork tree that, when pressed together, it can make a stopper for a bottle.
Indeed. In fact, they were originally called bungs.
Oh,
Thus,
so you put it in your bung
caskets and barrels have
holes.
bung holes, and so they get stopped off with bung. Now, am I the only one that makes me think of Beavis and Butthead?
Yes.
I am the great
I need
Cornholio.
DP for my bung.
I need DP for me bung hole.
DP.
All right. Well, of course, it's used to close bottles,
need more
tubes,
pretzels.
barrels, blah blah blah. We need more pretzels. Awesome, Mike. Thank you for the
Update on the pretzel levels.
yes,
I'm
absolutely.
just letting the listeners know that we need more pretzels.
Now, what makes Quark so special is that it encloses a container from the outside without displacing the inner volume, like a lid does, actually. if
Oh,
you
so
think
it
about
creates a slight vacuum. in the bottle,
Absolutely.
keeping the contents fresh.
Corks are most used for, of course, wine.
This is my favorite use of a cork.
And in fact,
You get that lovely
wine
sound.
corks are called corks, even if they are not made out of corks.
I really don't like those.
What about
Faux
cork
corks.
board?
Corks are, in fact, an impermeable, buoyant material. In fact, a prime subset of bark tissue, and it's harvested for commercial use from the cork oak, which is endemic to southwestern Europe and northwestern Africa.
Oh,
In fact,
is it
We
not
actually
from
have a- we have a small-
Portugal?
50% of the world's cork is actually produced in Portugal.
Huh.
A very
That's very
interesting.
interesting.
Did you also know
So we have
I've-
Portugal to thank for
cork
drug
and-
reform and for cork.
Also the
Also-
Portuguese language.
And the
correct.
reason why corks are so special, aside from the vacuum, is that cork is composed of the hydrophobic substance known as suberin.
Hydrophobic.
Hydrophobic, meaning
hydrophobic, so
anti-water.
afraid
So,
of
like,
water.
obviously,
Yeah.
they stay dry. They protect. It doesn't let moisture and
So it's
mildew.
not hydroponic.
Now, obviously, corks are mostly used for wine bottles. And since we've been drinking a little...
We have killed one bottle of champagne already.
So who here
That's
in
true.
Huntsville Attic likes wine tonight, everybody? Justified
I
Justin,
do.
what have we drank tonight?
Well, we've had a bottle of champagne left over from New Year's, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. 3 weeks old, but still good.
$3 a bottle of Cooks. It's
Cooks.
awesome.
Cooks. California champagne. Courtesy
I'm not
of
gonna
Mike.
spend the $1,500 on a bottle of whatever the fuck it's called.
That's why you
high-priced
just go 60 and get
Also-
the Vive the Croix.
Of
take
course,
it out.
of course, the Romulan ale.
The Romulan ale. We've had the shot of several times.
No, if anybody does want a very nice bottle of champagne for about $40 at Kroger, you can pick up a bottle of rosé. It is a pink champagne, very nice, very flavorful,
Rosé.
very nice, and that is
Very
rosé.
nice.
Fascinating.
Wow.
And
Well,
if
thank
you want to go on the
very
cheap
much.
route, you can get a bottle of oak leaf white Zinfandel from Walmart for $2.97.
Or you could always go the Thunderbird route, right? Absolutely.
Or the MD.
Well, we've also had the
But not
Zinfandel
us
here
today.
tonight, right?
Yeah.
Justified
We have the,
Justin?
Yeah.
We had the white
the,
Zinfandel.
The Parmesan white Zinfandel.
The
Oh,
PM.
very
Vineyard,
nice.
Parmesan Vineyards in
We had
It's
California.
no Kendall
We had the
Jackson,
Dos
but
Equis.
Paul will do good.
We had the Sam Adams Merry Mischief still left over from the winter season.
And of course, the Morgan Creek Vineyard, Alabama Vulcan Red,
Vulcan.
to go along with our
Yes.
Star Trek theme from earlier.
Absolutely. So,
We also have a nice variety of La Quintas.
and Samuel
I
Adams.
can't really say this, but we've got Pilsners, brown ales, and IPAs.
So let's talk a little bit about wine. Wine is obviously the most basic definition, the alcoholic beverage made with fruit, mostly, of course, fermented grapes
Correct.
or other fruits. Of course, fruit wines are referred to as blah, 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 insert blank here, wine, like
Apple wine,
elderberry
elderberry.
wine, right?
Have you ever had ginger wine?
Ginger wine
Fantastic.
I've never had, but
I've heard of it though.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And
I
we've
actually
heard
like that better than ginger
We've heard
beer.
of rice wine.
Sake.
Sake.
All right, of course, grapes are most used because the natural chemical balance of grapes allows them to ferment without the addition of sugars, acids, enzymes, waters.
Yeah,
other
they actually
nutrients.
have most of the yeast and everything already in them, actually.
Absolutely.
So it's very easy. And the different variants of dark to light wines is depending on how long they leave the tannins, which is the outside layer of the skins.
Really? So it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with red versus white grapes?
I mean, mostly like the really dry white wines are made with white grapes.
Like
but-
a Riesling or...
Yes, but if
okay.
you take a regular grape and you skin it, basically, you still end up with a white juice from that grape.
So
right.
So, hey, how
wine
many-
is very, very old. The earliest known production of
I would
wine
say
is
what?
around 6,000 BCE.
Is that
That's
in
in
Georgia?
Georgia.
Georgia, yes.
Georgia.
And then later
Actually,
it came to
the
the
country
Balkans.
Georgia.
In Eurasia, not the state.
Yeah,
Yes.
not the American state, which came much later.
Something.
Absolutely. In
In
about 4,500 BCE,
Because the state of Georgia is
Balkans.
actually known for
absolutely,
pecans.
the Balkans first get
peaches.
wine. And then, of course, from there it spreads throughout Europe.
and wine became such a big deal in the ancient times, if you will, that it became part of many a religious
Absolutely. Thank you, James, for mentioning that. That's exactly what we were trying to get to.
and it
Lots
mainly-
of religious significance.
yes, and I would say it started with the Greeks and the Romans with Dionysus and Bacchus.
Yes,
Dionysus
it
being the
did.
Greek god, Bacchus being the Roman equivalent.
Yes,
Dionysus.
and
God
they
of
were the
wine, of the
God of
vine.
wine
yes.
and partying.
God of wine
basically.
and
What
party
would you have to
reveille,
say
dude.
about Dionysus, justified Justin?
Well,
Who we are, of course, celebrating tonight with this Vulcan Red.
yes, Vulcan
Everybody.
Red.
Vulcan Red
Vulcan Red.
in Huntsville Attic.
Live long and prosper, motherfucker.
Dionysus, the
shit
god
first.
of wine and partying, basically.
Bacchus, if you will.
That's if I had to pick a favorite Roman god, right?
Roman is Bacchus, Greek
Yes.
is Dionysus. But if
Greek.
you had to pick
Okay,
a
Greek
favorite
god.
Greek-Roman god, they're all the same, just different
Greek god.
names.
Yeah, it'd probably be a Dionysus. Yeah.
I would pick a different one, but that's for a different show. But Dionysus,
He's the god of partying
Partying.
and
Who
I
else
mean,
do you wanna
really.
be?
Oh,
What-
but he
yeah.
would die every year.
and come back to
And
party
come back.
even harder.
back.
Exactly. See?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
right?
new
So
and
there we
fresh.
go. Was he not?
Ready to go.
Was he a
I think he's
sister to
the,
Persephone, or was he
They were
somehow
all related
related to
somehow.
Persephone?
I think that's where I fell asleep in the class.
I think I'm falling asleep because I'm drunk.
But and from there, it even transcended into the early Judeo-Christian rituals and everything.
Judeo-Christian, absolutely. In fact, speaking of Judeo-Christian, in the Jewish culture, wine has a very deep significance. All
Does
right.
it?
First of all, in Passover, wine is served as part of the Seder.
I think you have to have 4 cups.
They
is
have to
that?
have 4 cups of wine by
Yes.
so every Seder, every Passover. Come to Huntsville Attic, everybody. We each have 4 cups of beautiful, beautiful, rich, thick red wine, which
Well, I
always
see
represented
I see
blood
1, 2,
in the Judeo-Christian
3,
culture.
4 empty glasses. So let's fill them up.
Let's fill these wine glasses up, everybody.
Excellent.
It's Passover here tonight, right? We're almost there, actually. We've got a couple
Very
months
close.
left.
Very close.
We're getting ready for it. We're building up.
All right. So we
Precisely.
are officially out of our champagne and our red wine.
But luckily, we have the white Zinfandel
Yeah.
left.
Do you know how that was made?
Romulan ale and a
So-
shit ton of beer.
If the Romulan ale and the beer was not enough, we have 3 different types of wine we've been drinking.
Correct.
Thank you, Justified Justin.
You're welcome. Speaking of which, White Zinfandel, do you know how that came around?
No.
How?
Please tell us.
Well, it was basically, I don't want to say it was a screw up, but I mean, when Americans started making wine in California vineyards.
The Napa Valley, everybody, right? We
Correct.
cannot talk about wine without mentioning the American
Yes.
Napa Valley.
Napa Valley.
if you
I
watch
just-
Bottle Shock, you will understand.
You know,
more
too,
about
That's a
Napa
great movie.
Valley.
Everybody should watch it. He tours the Napa Valley.
last year.
Are you fucking testing
No,
me?
no, Bottle
Maniacal
Shock-
Mike?
Bottle Shock is
Because I am
essentially-
rocking fucking Robbie.
I don't give a fuck who
Go
you
ahead.
are.
I love that movie.
I will tell you
But,
about
no.
the movie when when Justified Justin is done. And I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay. You're good. But last June or July, early July, late June, I was in California and I toured Napa Valley and Sonoma
California.
to a couple
Knows
vineyards.
how
It was
to
amazing.
party.
It was great.
Sounds
Yeah.
nice.
The best wine I've ever had was I'll remember it in a little bit and I'll say it. I can't think of it
Awesome.
now. I'll remember it. Okay. Anyway, back to White Zinfandel. We're talking about White Zinfandel.
All right, of course, the Jewish significance of wine went into the Christian significance of wine. The most significant being, of course, Jesus's
Blood
first
of Christ, right?
Jesus's first miracle was turning water into
Wine.
He was
wine.
like,
Jewish was very.
let's get this
and
party started.
Wine was a
fishes.
big part. Like we said, wine
Fishes
was
and loaves.
introduced
Fishes
first
and
in
loaves,
Georgia,
motherfucker.
moved on to the Balkans from there. So it went through the Middle East. It was
Your
very,
phone's going
very
off.
important,
Lottie-dottie.
religiously, culturally,
Likes
and
the
just
body.
chilling about the house.
And also, it was a way to preserve all the grapes you grew from the year before. You like
Absolutely.
grape juice. Now it's time to have it for the year round.
Totally, right?
how you
There's a
do
way
it.
to. You're right.
Correct.
Okay. We celebrate Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Do we not, everybody here?
Yes.
Every
Yes.
religion.
Yes, we're with everything.
I'm not paying attention.
Along with some of the others, like
You know,
I'm a fan of Hinduism and Buddhism here. Like
Theirs are pretty
right?
good,
right?
man.
Absolutely.
You
In
know-
fact, we should do a religion episode.
we should.
Absolutely.
But, you
Everybody
know-
here with just a lot of wine.
I've got a question.
Absolutely.
We were talking about wine.
My glass.
And now
That
we're,
turned
uh,
into religion.
Yeah, religion. We're talking White Zinfandel. You know, I was telling a story about White Zinfandel, and then we came to religion somehow.
Yes.
It
What
always
about
gets
white
there. That's something that's
Zinfandel?
fucked
You know,
up.
it was made. They were making wine, and then they took the wine out too early, and all the sugar hadn't turned into alcohol yet.
Uh-huh.
So it was way sweeter than most wine, and they liked it, so they bottled it and sold it.
Okay,
Thank God they did, because I love some white Zinfandel.
My
Yes.
question
I love
is,
Riesling. What's your
other than-
favorite type of wine, Maniacal Mike?
As long as it's got alcohol in it, I don't care.
What about you, Jumpin and Jivin James?
I prefer deep dark reds. I am actually
Like a Merlot?
I'm a fan actually of the Meritage wines.
You ever had
where
the
they take
Burgundy?
two groups of wines and blend them together to make a better tasting
Blended
blend.
wines, very popular nowadays. Justified Justin, what's your favorite type of wine?
Well, I have to say, most of the time I end up buying the
Thank
White Zinfandel because it's so cheap. Because we make it here, and there's so much of it, it doesn't take as long to make. But I'm really a huge fan of the dark reds as well, like a Burgundy or a Merlot or something like that.
Have you ever had a White Zinfandel from North Carolina?
I have not.
Particularly the Asheville area.
Asheville, North Carolina.
Yes.
I have not.
They make a White Zinfandel that is to die for.
But I have had a Moscato wine from some guy in Cherokee, Alabama that
Are
my
you
dad did a
black?
job for. What?
No, I mean no offense, but like the only ones I know that drink Moscato are black folks.
No, Moscato is a very, very sweet. It's a
much
dessert
larger berry.
wine. Yeah, it's
or
a
grape.
dessert wine.
Yeah.
It was
I'll
that
bring it over next
muscadine
time I come.
wine, or
It's
was
I
that
think the
Moscato?
most important thing we can take from Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie tonight about wine is this. Number one, two things. Number one, wine can, in fact, scientifically proven, I will just say, reduce the risk of death due to heart disease.
Yeah, but that's like
True
what,
story.
one glass.
One glass a day, but
With
whatever.
that,
Who
like,
drinks in
I
moderation?
think you can also drink grape juice though for that.
Yeah, but that's not near as fun,
Yeah.
right? Right, come on. Like,
Indeed.
who believes Christ made fucking water into grape juice, right? Come on.
If he's the most awesome
What was the
person
whole
ever,
thing
then
with
yes.
Moses, dude? Didn't Moses turn...
Moses brought
turned
water from
into
a
blood?
rock. You are completely confusing Christianity with Judaism.
I'm just going by what Charleston
Don't worry.
Heston did on
Yeah,
TV.
exactly. That's a common misconception
to
for
a
most
chair?
of Americans, but there's a difference. But it's
Yeah,
okay.
he did
It's
talk
like
to a
don't worry
chair,
about it.
motherfucker.
The second most
motherfucker was
important
scared
thing
to
we can
show
take
up.
from wine
Clint
is this.
Eastwood?
You ready?
Am
No,
I talking to
Charleston
chairs?
Heston.
I don't.
The biggest majority
I'll
of
kill you with
wine
my gun.
consumed. The biggest majority of wine consumed and produced is from the same country. Can anybody-
America.
France,
France.
everybody.
France.
Fuck yeah.
Of course. France
they-
is the
they-
highest consumer of wine and producer of wine.
They mix it down with like Kool-Aid
You
type
know-
stuff for kids to drink. So
You
I
know
mean,
what else comes
obviously.
from France? You asshole.
What's that?
French people.
mayonnaise.
The
Champagne.
Statue of Liberty! Thank you, everybody, for being with us tonight here
Champagne.
in Huntsville Attic.
Champagne.
I am Rockin Robbie here for Rockin' with Rockin Robbie on
I'm drunk.
SOEProductions.com.
You suck a dick.
Be sure to join us next week. Next week, Mike, you got the SOE show. We talk about our favorite Oscar winners. How's that going?
Yes, we do. We are going
Do
to
we have
be
to wear
talking-
bow ties to
No,
the,
no bow ties. But we are going to be doing
I already
Oscar.
reserved my tux, guys.
Well, that's for my birthday. That party is later, actually. But no, Smell Show Oscar winners. Hi, everybody. That's me.
Join
Mike
us
Madden.
The voice.
in 2 weeks for the
Whoosh.
next.
Hey, Robbie.
Join us in 2 weeks for the next Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie. It is our Black History special, everybody. I am really looking forward to this. I loved Black History Month
Yeah, I'm
growing
doing
up.
romance.
Did you not love Black History Month growing up? I did.
Habari Gani, my brothers.
Absolutely, Harambe.
Harambe!
Hashtag 2 terms.
As always, we appreciate you for joining us here in Huntsville Attic. I am Rockin' Robbie. With me, as always, is...
James Lineback, also known as Jumpin and Jivin
And, of
James.
course, the drunkie.
I'm drunk as hell! And you can't stop me!
That's Maniacal Mike and a very special guest. Hope to see you soon. Let us know what you think.
Justified Justin Daniels Goldsmith the
Justified
first.
Justin!
Thank you for having me, Robbie.
I am Rockin'
Justin's my
Robbie.
new
Thank you
favorite.
for joining us. Join us next time. Like I said, Black History. Thanks for rocking with us!
Copyright 2012. 13.